graduates, guests and colleagues. My name is Mary Haworth and I'm delighted to welcome you all to graduation. I have a few announcements to make before we begin so that you can relax and enjoy the ceremony. Graduates, an easy job to start with. Please check that your seat number matches the number on your ticket because you'll be called to the stage in this order. If you discover that these do not match, our team of stewards can help you locate the correct seat. At the appropriate time, you'll be invited by the stewards to stand and to make your way to the foot of the stairs, ready to head up the stairs and across the stage. All very straightforward. There are two key things which make for a seamless ceremony. Firstly, as soon as the person ahead of you begins to cross the stage, please make sure you make your way up the stairs. Please don't wait until they've passed across the stage before you reach the top of the stairs. Secondly, don't let excitement and pride overwhelm you so much that you forget to pick up your degree parchment after you've crossed the stage. If you do, don't worry, you have still graduated. But don't try to go back because you'll collide with someone coming the other way. Instead, please visit the graduation information desk in the exhibition centre where you collected your gown 30 minutes after the ceremony to collect your parchment. Graduates, you are asked to raise or doff your cap rather than shake hands with the Vice-Chancellor when you're called on stage. And please feel free to remove your face covering temporarily whilst on stage. And pause for a moment at the spot marked X in the centre of the stage for that all-important photo opportunity. At the end of the ceremony, graduates are asked to process out of the hall directed by the stewards. Family and friends, the stewards will show you to the exits once the graduates have left the hall. If the fire alarm should sound at any point, please remain in your seats. Instructions will be given and will escort you to the nearest exit. Today, our graduating students become alumni of the University of York, and you will join an international community of over 140,000 York alums in 180 countries. Your Alumni Association is a vibrant and active global network offering events and services and opportunities designed to help you make connections with other alumni across the world and to support your career development. We will be with you every step of the way as you embark on your next chapter, and you will shortly receive an email giving further details on the ways in which you can remain connected and involved. In the meantime, please follow our alumni social media channels on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, and check out the Alumni Association website to keep in touch and learn more about life as a York graduate. As you get your first job or take up further study or training, please remember to keep us in touch with what you're doing. Understanding the career paths you take will help us to provide the right support for current students and make sure that we continue to offer graduates like you relevant information and opportunities. I understand that anybody who's watching the live stream of the graduation ceremony may experience a misinterpretation of names when it comes to the live captioning. So we just want to stress that everybody's name should be correctly listed in the commemorative brochure. Finally, can I ask you to mute your mobile phones, and if you're comfortably able, would you please now stand?
Good afternoon. I declare this congregation open for the conferment of awards upon all graduates. Please be seated. And with that, a very warm welcome to the University of York. My name's Charlie Jeffery. I'm the Vice-Chancellor of the University. Graduation ceremonies are always special occasions. They're a celebration of our graduates' achievements, and they're a moment of transition with all the excitement and anticipation that comes with our graduates moving on to the next phase in their lives. They're also something else this year. This is our first in-person graduation series for 2 years. Those last 2 years have been amongst the most extraordinary we'll experience in our lifetimes. COVID has had such far-reaching impacts on our health, our economies, our societies. Amid that, we've seen unprecedented disruption to our operation as a university, as have indeed our graduates in their studies. It's therefore all the more a moment of celebration to be in this hall in person with our graduates today, even with masks, tests and all those precautions we've had to get used to. And we're so delighted too that friends and family of our graduates can also be with us in person to witness this ceremony and to join in with this celebration today. You're all very welcome indeed. Now, sadly, some of our graduates can't be here today given the difficulties of international travel. Others have had the bad luck to test positive just at the wrong moment. They too are in our thoughts, and we will of course invite them all to a graduation celebration at a point when they are able to attend. I'll reflect more towards the end of the ceremony on the challenges we all, but especially you, our graduates, have had to face over the last 2 years. But now we move into the main part of the ceremony. And with that, and through the power vested in me by the University of York, I have great pleasure in conferring awards on all graduates listed for this ceremony in the graduation programme.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honour to present the following candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Music for research in songs of Lakeland Fellpacks Mary Emmett. For research in 17th century English sacred music practices, Hannah Roger. For the degree of Master of Arts in Community Music, Chloe Barker. Jessica Bosworth. Guo Shenzhen. He. Emma Wallace. Wang Yingsu. Dimitra Ananyadu. Emma Coase. For the degree of Master of Arts in Music, Imogen Creedy. Ade Sharifa Fatiawati. Bianca Goldman. Anna Galitzin. Tong Shirin. Susan Horridge. Eleanor Hunt. Edwin Lambert. Cynthia Lau. Rosemary Lynch. Alexander Mathers. Alison Nairn. Anna Palethorpe. Iona Ray. Anna Sharman, Georgia Strong, Madeline Withers, Catherine Wycliffe, Jiao Nguyen. For the degree of Master of Arts in Music Education, Instrumental and Vocal Teaching, Ewan Crombie. Rachel Griffiths, Zhao Pingyu. For the degree of Master of Arts in Music Production, Leo Butler, Michael Miller, Elliot Parkin, Wang Chen, Andrew White, Giang Ming. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Music, Ciara Lockhart.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honour to present the following candidate for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Philosophy. For research in A Gricean Account of Assertion, David Austin. And for the degree of Master of Arts in Philosophy, Amy Clayton. David Garside. Nathan Mitchinson, William Oliver, Sophie Simoes, and for the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Philosophy, Kamran Mahal, Yanis Rumpitis.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honour to present the following candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Economics and Politics. Famida Begum. Mohammed Maween Uddin Bhatti. Aaron Conmy. Despina Kioshku. Ellie Ladopoli. Giang and Chu Nguyen. Valerie Owo. Erin Popat. Charles Seymour.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ensemble Anonimi will perform Come Fly With Me by Frank Sinatra and arranged by Rachel Singer, followed by Respect by Aretha Franklin and arranged by Joshua Adams.
Come fly with me, let's fly away. Let's fly away. If you can use some exotic booze, there's a bar in far Bombay. Come fly with me, let's fly away. Come fly with me, let's float down to the room. Way down to the room. In Normal Land, there's a one big bag, and your tooth is food for you. Come fly with me, let's take off off in the blue. Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, all I have. In other words, baby, kiss me.
Baby, fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore.
In other words, please be true. In other words, I love you. Oh, otherwise, it's such a lovely day. Oh, just say the word and we'll beat those birds down to Acapulco Bay. And it's perfect for a flying honeymoon. They say, come on, fly with me. Come fly, let's fly. Fly. Let's fly away. What you want, baby, I got it. What you need, do you know I got it. All I'm asking is for a little respect when you come home. Hey, baby, when you go home, just a little bit, mister. Just a little bit. I ain't gonna do you wrong. Why you gone? I ain't gonna do you wrong, 'cause I don't wanna. All I'm asking is for a little respect when you come home, baby. Just a little when you get home, just a little bit, just a little bit. I'm about to give you all of my money, and all I'm asking in return, honey, is to give me my prospects when you go home. Hey, baby, when you go home. Just a little bit, yeah. Just a little bit. Don't matter what I do, oh, your kisses, sweeter than honey. And guess what? So is my money. All I want you to do for me is give it to me when you get home, yeah, baby. Give it to me when you get home now. Just a little bit. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Find out what it means to me. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Take care of T-C-B. Woo! And a little respect. We respect. Just a little respect. Just a little bit. I get tired, keep on trying. You're running out of fools and I ain't lying. Respect.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honour to present the following candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Environment and Politics for research in green energy transitioning in small islands, Janelle Green de Wasmus. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Politics
For research in a study of refugee housing and integration policy, Eli Auslander. For research in governance through emergency, Matt Barlow. For research in opposition to the far right in Britain, David Cole. For research in journalists' responses to impunity, Mexico and Honduras, Tamsin Mitchell. For research in the politics of judicial independence, Nauman Riyad. For the degree of Masters of Arts in Applied Human Rights, Molly Bonamy. McKinley Kaywood. Amy Dodge. Alicia Graham. Lauren March. Emma Richardson. Emily Smith. For the degree of Master of Arts in Conflict Governance and Development, Anna Bird. Lin Chao Chen. Lucy Diamond. Connor Flashman Wells. Samantha Harper King. Rachel Masterman. For the degree of Master of Arts in International Political Economy, Elizabeth Allen. James Birch. For the degree of Master of Arts in International Relations, Ellen Altley. Solomon Cartledge. Amanda Ines Clark. Rachel Ellis. Emily Elsey. Florence Anencher. Rhiannon Flint. Samuel Hardy Mayo. Marcus Latham. Calvin Laverick. Shiwen Ma. Jitsana Mathen. Sarah McCabe. Holly Palmer. Finley Kwong Shah. Deepika Srinivasan. Bree Stewart. Thomas Wilson. Alexander Woodward. Georgiana Yuan. For the degree of Master of Arts in Political Theory, Emily Brunel. Juliana Heller. Sina Mistry. Niall Paul. For the degree of Master of Arts in Public Administration and Public Policy, Emily Blevins. Sarah Clark. Harry Clay. Joseph Copping. Owen Griffiths. Jay Guo. Ling Dukan. Robson Mamba. William Smith. Lawrence Spade. Benjamin Stone. For the degree of Master of Arts in Public Policy, Governance and Development, Stephanie Mendes. Manuel Figuera Burger. Danielle Horta-Cortez. For the degree of Master of Public Administration, International Development, Zachary Davis. Dina Lopez Lara. For the degree of Master of Public Administration in Public Administration, Eleanor Bailey. Jana Teledinova. Alexander Toll. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Politics, Cameron Collins. Durand Evans. Joel Gallagher. Gemma Roberts. Benjamin Walker. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Politics with International Relations, Charlotte Bean. Erin Josh. Fahana Khatun. Ryan McShane. Dominic Samuels.
Samuel Brown, let's say the name.
Stanley Brown.
It is my enormous pleasure to introduce Giang and Nguyen, our student orator who will speak on behalf of the class of 2022. Our student orators have been invited to speak in recognition of their hard work on behalf of the student community and commitment to their studies. Our speakers have both pursued the most enriching experience they could during their time at York, as well as giving back to their community. On behalf of the class of 2022, I give you Giang and Nguyen.
Good afternoon. Dear fellow students, staff and distinguished guests, I want to address this year's graduating class as to how our time at York had inspired and equipped us with passion, grit and urgency to create changes in our community and the world at large. Before this, I would like to thank my family, particularly my parents, who unfortunately not able to be here today because of the restrictions. Thank you, because even halfway across the globe, I have felt your complete support in every step of the way in the past 4 years. There are so many problems in the world that need to be solved, be it climate change, poverty, industrial animal farming, just to name a few. This is our time to use what we have learned in those hallowed lecture halls to really find our passion and to make the systemic magic changes we want to see. Like many of you here, my time at York has been the space for me to meet my fellow students, staff, and the local communities. I have made fantastic connections and I also learned a lot from them. In aiding the underdeveloped local community centre as a volunteer consultant from York Community Consulting, I knew I was involved in something that was exceptional, and this is the opportunity for me to learn. I have also empowered to enact the changes I want to see within my own educational experiences. Some of those were very ambitious, such as maintaining and ensuring diversity and equality within our assessment design our representation, our curriculum. Growing up in Vietnam and moving to England at the age of 16 have given me a unique sense of perspective to have a value thoughts of diverse idea and a desire for progress. This, with the love and support of my friends, has encouraged me to pursue a successful USU academic officer to really enact the change I envisioned into actuality. The pandemic has posed challenge for us in aspiring to become change makers. You might have re-questioned your identity or what change you want to be part of. However, I believe that this disruption could really bring us together and really strengthen us. Because together we have found ways to keep going amidst a global pandemic through tight social bonds, carrying us through this moment. It must also be together that we find our unique identity, wondrous dreams, and pioneering solutions to all the urgent problems we've seen today. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you.
It is my great pleasure to introduce a message of congratulations from Honorary Graduate of the University of York, Dame Sharon White.
Hi, I'm Sharon White and I'm Chairman of the John Lewis Partnership, which owns Waitrose and John Lewis. I'm also privileged to be an Honorary Doctor of the University of York. I wanted to say an enormous congratulations on your graduation. Many, many, many congratulations on your success, particularly with all the trauma and challenges of studying during COVID. I'm sure with both all the sort of anxiety of COVID itself, but also the sort of roller coaster of face-to-face and online teaching. You've made it, you've reached the finish line, and that's something hugely to be celebrated. What is so fantastic about the University of York, and it's a pleasure for me to have this association with the university, is the focus on social purpose. And it's something that also sits right at the heart of the business that I run, the John Lewis Partnership, which is very much centred on people and the importance of work and the importance of social mobility. I'm sure you'll be thinking about what happens next after university. Perhaps some of you will be staying on to study further, others of you perhaps thinking about the world of work. And I hope and am confident that the focus on purpose, on meaning, on doing good, making a difference, particularly at this time when so much is changing in our world. The labour market is changing. All our expectations about what we want from life and work have changed so dramatically during COVID. I wish you every success and all the best in finding work that feels as much like a vocation and a pleasure as it does like a piece of employment. So many congratulations again, and I hope you have great fun celebrating.
Graduates, guests and colleagues, graduation ceremonies are among the most special parts of my job. They mark the creativity, the energy, the passion and the sheer hard work that you, our graduates, have put into your studies. I've just had the privilege of being the first person to congratulate each graduand as they became a graduate. And I can now be the first person to tell you how proud the university is of you. And I'm sure your supporters, family and friends agree. So I ask them, along with my colleagues, to give you another round of applause. The University of York is a special place. It's less than 60 years old, yet already regarded as one of the UK's best universities, with an outstanding reputation worldwide. And all the measures we routinely use, quality of teaching, excellence of research, impact on the economy, prospects of graduates, all confirm that strength, that reputation, that quality. But there's more to it than that. Our work is underpinned by powerful values. Our founders set up the university for public good. Our students were not just to be technically proficient in their fields, but also to be able to apply their learning for social benefit. I think that's what Giang was talking about a few minutes ago. We were to care, I quote, more than almost anything else about ensuring access to university education for those who'd previously not had the opportunity. And our research was intended not just to open up new knowledge, but also to apply that knowledge with and through its students for, I quote again, the amelioration of human life and conditions, or to put it another way, for public good. These values were, I think, captured quite wonderfully in the message of congratulations you just heard from Dame Sharon White. I said at the opening of the ceremony I'd give some further reflections on the challenges we've all faced over the last 2 years. I think our values, our commitment to public good at the University of York have been vital in the way we've responded to those challenges. You may remember that a little less than 2 years ago, we were the #1 item on the news, the centre of national and international attention, when York saw the first confirmed COVID cases in the UK, one of them a student of ours. Little did we know, amid the media maelstrom at the time, that that was just a prelude. Since then, COVID has taken a horrifying toll. We've seen over 5.5 million deaths worldwide, more than 150,000 in this country. Many millions more have been ill, many of them badly so. Our economies have been severely disrupted. We've endured so many restrictions on our normal social life. Little did we know all that 2 years ago when we had those first cases in York. But there was something in that experience in late January 2020 that set a tone which has endured. So let me pick out some recollections from our first encounter with COVID in January 2020. First and foremost, there was an extraordinary sense of shared purpose that arose immediately across the university community. Even though things were uncertain, nobody knew much about COVID back then. Students, staff and people across the city came together. It was wonderful, for example, to see Samara Jones, the then president of our Students' Union, who's actually sitting over there today, on the front steps of the university, before the amassed TV cameras and a frenzied, manic and slightly panicky pack of journalists, basically saying to them, "You lot keep calm, we've got this." And when we set up a call centre to deal with all the many anxious inquiries that came our way, we had more volunteers from among our staff to handle those calls than you could shake a stick at. They understood the anxiety that people felt and they responded with compassion. And when a tiny minority in the city resorted to stereotypes and scapegoating about the source of the virus, the response in the university and across the city was emphatic. We are not having that here. It is not acceptable. Instead, the city rallied round. We worked from the off with the City Council, local NHS, York St John University just down the road, to manage that uncertain situation. That set a tone which has persisted and has been a tremendous asset for the city over the last 2 years. Those responses, shared purpose, compassion, solidarity, collaboration, became emblems of this university's COVID response. Let me pick out a few examples concerning both students and staff. And I'll dwell first on my colleagues and the combination of dedication, hard work and creativity they have applied to teaching and to supporting our students over the last 2 years. At times we had to shift teaching and support services fully online. At others we could only do some things in person. Only recently have we been able to move generally to in-person activity. As government guidance shifted on several occasions, my colleagues, lecturers, timetablers, electricians, cleaners, have had to adapt again and again and again. And that has, to be frank, been a strain, especially when it was combined with working from home, especially in periods when many had homeschooling to contend with too. I think the shared professional commitment to our students through all of this has been quite extraordinary. What's also been extraordinary is how all this has been accompanied by continuing outstanding research achievement. Colleagues have found the time and the inventiveness to continue their research. Just look at all the great stories on our website. And of course, some of that research in all parts of the university has been focused on COVID and its effects. What a confirmation our and indeed other universities' response to the pandemic has been of the value of universities and of the expertise they contain to our society. Extraordinary too was the way staff of all kinds mobilised to support the welfare of our students. We had, for example, a really difficult moment in October 2020 when over 2,000 students were in COVID self-isolation on campus and around the city. We had to make sure they were fed and had other essentials. That was a huge logistical challenge, and we could only do it through staff from all backgrounds volunteering on top of their day jobs to make up food parcels, deliver them, to phone students to see if they were okay, and much, much more. So let me record my thanks to my colleagues, and let me call on you, our graduates, to applaud our outstanding staff and all they've done to support you through your time here. Another big part of our COVID response concerns our students. It's been an extraordinarily difficult time for our students, with teaching having to be delivered in different ways, with less in-person contact than any of us would have wanted, and with all those other parts of the student experience, sports, societies, nightlife, at times in part or wholly off limits. Many students have had COVID and many more have had to self-isolate. Some struggled financially because part-time work dried up amid COVID restrictions. The whole experience has been taxing on mental health and well-being. And to be frank, students had very little in the way of support or even understanding from our government. That sounds like a tale of negatives, but there's more to it than that. It's not the whole story. That's in part because of the commitment of our staff to deliver the best education they could and to support student welfare as best they could. But it's in part because our students themselves were so resilient. They adapted to studying in different ways and actually helped us to understand how best to use online teaching methods for a rewarding educational experience. They adapted to socialising in different ways, in part online, in part outside. When we were able last year, we ran an outdoor facility called the Forest. It was booked out every night by student societies, sports clubs, colleges, no matter what the weather. And my goodness, socialising outside in the Yorkshire winter takes real commitment. On top of that, our students' unions were so inventive, working with my colleagues to identify student needs and solve them, including, for example, hundreds of 4G boosters for students with unreliable Wi-Fi, including, for example, Christmas hampers in December 2020 for students unable to travel home, delivered to their door by special arrangement with Morrison's. And beyond all that, our students rallied to support their community in the city. Our COVID test site on campus, it's a community test centre open to anyone in the city, has been staffed throughout by students performing a fantastic public service. And students have volunteered in the community in all sorts of ways. One that stands out for me was our student tea and coffee club, which before COVID held coffee mornings on campus to provide companionship and conversation for elderly citizens in York. Couldn't do that, of course, with COVID, but they pivoted straight away to phone conversations, help with shopping, socially distanced chats across the garden fence, and so on. Wonderful, but only one of many examples of volunteering to support people in the community. Our students, including you, our new graduates, have shown tremendous resilience, commitment and compassion. Thank you for all you've done and the way you've dealt with all the challenges of the last years. I think another round of applause might be in order. And as many of you were walking across the stage earlier, you were looking up wherever your supporters might have been, giving them a wave, a few cheers and hollers coming back from the other direction. That's another group of people I'd like to thank, your family and friends. I'm absolutely certain they have also helped you enormously in this really challenging time, with advice, with companionship, occasional shoulder to cry on, laundry services, I should imagine, and no doubt some money too. So graduates, what I'd like you to do next is to stand and to turn to wherever your supporters are in this hall and raise the roof for them. Thank you very much for that. I wish you all success and happiness for the future, and I hope that you'll keep in touch with us. As you crossed the platform earlier, you became members of the York Global Alumni Association. That makes you part of a club with 140,000 members in 180 countries worldwide. What a social network that is. Through that association, you can stay in touch with each other, share experience, help and support one another, and of course keep in touch with what's happening back here in York. We'd love you to see York as your university for life. And if you received financial support last year from our Emergency Student Support Fund, you have our alumni to thank. They donated hundreds of thousands of pounds to support our students through those COVID difficulties. One day, you too may be able to help future students at the university. And finally, please do think hard about your experience at York during COVID. You are a unique generation of graduates. You have the same academic credentials as earlier generations do. Like them, you've worked hard, you've mastered your subjects, you've got your qualifications. But you have something more. You've had COVID to contend with too. I think this university and this city had a distinctive, almost instinctive approach to COVID, based in compassion and solidarity, looking out for each other. You were part of that. It's an example of our values, of what a commitment to public good can mean. I hope you'll take that with you as you move into the next stage in your life. As Dame Sharon White signalled earlier, you can be sure it's something your future employers will value. We're going to finish now by showing a video which was part of a submission which led us to being shortlisted for University of the Year, for the way that we worked together to deal with the challenges of COVID. I hope it will help you remember and reflect on how our community came together. Thank you very much.
Student at the University of York is one of the 2 Chinese citizens who have tested positive for the coronavirus in the UK.
So this statement from Public Health
Daily
England
Mail has the headline,
confirming
"Is the
that
killer
the 2
virus
people
here?"
had been
Pictures of
staying
people
in
with
York.
masks.
Coronavirus is a student at the University of York. Mike Kemp from our newsroom is with us.
When the first case in the UK was discovered here in York, I was visiting one of our partner universities, Maastricht in the Netherlands. Being the first case, there was obviously no script for us to follow. But at the same time as having the world's media looking at us, everybody was here. We brought together a contingency group, medical experts, others who could help us think through the issues that we might face, and we worked from the outset with the City Council and the other educational institutions in the city. Well, we knew very little about the virus at the time, and our overriding concern was to keep people safe and to give them the reassurance that we could, and to prepare for what followed, what became probably the most challenging year the university has ever faced.
At the time, I think emotions were kind of all over the place. There was so much uncertainty, which provided a little bit of fear for the unknown and panic about what's going to happen next. The university was brilliant in that regard. They set up a phone line for students, for parents, for staff within the first 24 hours that anyone could call for any questions and reassurance.
The key thing was listening to students and making sure that they could see leadership and also a lot of compassion and kindness, because it was an uncertain time both for staff and for students. One of the main things the university did was introduce the Emergency Student Support Fund, one of the first universities in the UK to do so, recognising that students would lose things like part-time work and there'd be various financial challenges facing students, and that was really important to give students that financial certainty wherever they were.
We actually listened to what students and staff had to say, and with students we listened to what they had to say through their elected student representatives, being members of our contingency groups, and also by conducting pulse surveys as well, so that we captured the mood and indeed what students actually wanted, and we responded to that. We managed to get all of our teaching and learning online within a week of the pandemic starting, which I think is a remarkable achievement. We provided roughly about 6,000 welfare calls or checks on students in self-isolation throughout the pandemic. We actually provided lockdown loot for students as well, so we provided food, treats, activity packs, and even hampers at Christmas as well.
So clearly we would expect the university to step into the knowledge space and provide a greater, deeper understanding of the virus. However, the University of York went much further than that. It engaged communities, it's provided open access to equipment and facilities and space. It provided us with leadership and support, and was very much a partner in dealing with the impacts of the pandemic on this city.
What I've learnt about the University of York community in the last year is that we are incredibly resilient and resourceful, that we're compassionate, that when we say that we're a university for public good, we actually live it as well, and it's about being a community that works together. I have a number of favourite stories from students. Actually, one concerns students actually working with elderly members of the local community to ensure that they could get access to the internet. So they provided training sessions and support so that these people could actually contact their relatives.
The founders of this university talked 60 years ago of what we, our staff, our students, would do to ameliorate human life and conditions. What a sense of purpose for a university to have, and my goodness, how much it has been our compass over the last year. That's what defines the University of York. And with that, I declare this congregation closed. Thank you so much for being here. Please rise.